Whoa, wait, that's not right. Let me change that real quick. Hello everybody, welcome to the most boring video ever made. I would have brought out our good friend Mr. Williams for this, but I'm currently in the middle of editing another video for YouTube that's taken a lot of the old creative juices, so you're stuck with me for today. This is my final project for CYBR 180 titled Cookie Catch. This is actually a remake or a remaster of a project I made about 3 years ago in Pygame. This version is made in the Godot game engine, and if anyone pronounces it Godot, I will find you. I'll start with a quick gameplay video before diving into the project files. Based on the assignment page, I assume that this is supposed to work on mobile, so I'll be showing you the game in both the editor as well as an Android emulator, in this case BlueStacks, because exporting a game to a non-jailbroken iPhone just is pain. Starting in the Android emulator, I'll go ahead and show you what the game looks like. As you can see, it's pretty self-explanatory. You can move the jar around by tapping on either side of the screen, and you pick up the cookies. And then once you have enough, you can click this deposit button, and it'll add up your score and reset the amount of cookies in your jar. The amount of score you get depends on the type of cookies you catch. As you can see, there's different types of cookies, all with different fall speeds and colors. If we go to the shop, you can actually see the plan for the shop that I have. None of these buttons actually work because that would require effort, and Lord knows I can't put in effort. So you can see our current amount of score, you can see all the different upgrades, how much they cost, what their current attribute is. So right now you can have up to 20 cookies in your jar. By upgrading using this button, you could have more cookies in your jar. Another thing I forgot to mention actually is while you're moving the jar, you can actually loop between either side of the screen just so you don't have to run all the way back to catch a cookie on the other side. Now, onto the actual project. This first scene that I'm looking at contains the actual gameplay, which is why it's called game. This includes the jar that you move around, the areas that you touch to move the jar around, the node that actually spawns in cookies, stuff like that. The jar itself probably has the most complicated script just because it handles movement and collecting cookies and updating the fill, stuff like that. Were I to keep working on this game, I would probably split up some of this functionality into something like a finite state machine or some other paradigm just so this main script is a bit cleaner, but for now, this works. In the jar scene, you can also see this sprite called Fill Sprite. This basically acts as a percentage showing the amount of cookies you currently have in your jar. Coming back to the main game scene, I have a node 2D here that is responsible for creating and containing all the cookies that are currently on screen. It has its own script where the different cookie types are defined in this kind of ugly looking array, and then whenever this timer times out, it'll cause this script to run, which creates a new cookie, gives it a random type, applies that type and all of its different attributes, so the palette that it has, the speed that it falls, and the amount of points it'll give you. It puts that cookie on a random point up here so that it's randomly distributed across the top of the screen, and then they start falling. The cookie scene itself isn't too complicated. I'm sure you've noticed that the sprite is white, and that's just because the appearance of the sprite is actually determined by this palette swap shader. This was not written by me, this was taken from a tutorial here. The final note to talk about in the game scene is this HUD, which just contains the score display, the deposit button, and the shop button. The score itself is held in a globals singleton, which is declared up here and can be used throughout the project, so you can see the score. Whenever you collect a cookie, the points that it would give you is added to this variable here, and then when you click the deposit button, this number is added to this number and reset to 0. You can also see the amount of cookies currently in the jar. It's stored here globally, along with the max fill of the jar, which is also stored here globally. One final bit of functionality with the HUD display is that when you've reached the maximum fill on the jar, the deposit button will turn yellow to signify that you can no longer collect cookies and should deposit them. Heading over to the shop scene, which basically acts like this game's version of a pause menu, I have laid out the various upgrades that I talked about earlier. This is a whole lot of UI stuff, so a lot of containers and sorting and stuff like that. The final scene that I want to look at is this called the Game Master. This is where the game and shop scenes are used and switched between. Also in this scene is an audio player that just plays the background music on loop. This is just a song that I wrote a few years ago, and I threw it into the game just so it wasn't completely silent while you were playing it. This bit here is the fade transition that plays when switching between the game and the shop scene. That's about it for the project itself. I would consider the most challenging part of this project to probably be the UI. Godot has this handy set of what are called control nodes, which is all these green nodes you can see here, that are used to make UI. It's a really powerful system. In fact, I think it's the system used to make the editor UI itself, but I still suck at using them effectively. Working on this game, even for how little gameplay there actually is right now, it's given me a much better understanding of how to use these control nodes. You can see this clearly in the shop, where I've done a lot of nesting and a lot of putting stuff together just so everything looks right, and so that my UIs are both pleasing to the eye and scalable at different resolutions. I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. Sorry that I wasn't, actually funny in this video, but, I mean, thanks for watching nonetheless. Here, let me see if I can find a funny clip that I'll just insert right at the end of the video to really make it all worth your while. How does that sound? Good? Good.